thank you, everybody, for coming here today. I'm Shane Getson, and I'll get you to introduce yourselves around here for the record. Just on the microphone so we have it. That, and I'm terrible at names. We already had that conversation in the front end, so I'll mess it up to start off with. So maybe we'll just start to my left and go from there.
Aricia Boychuk, does that work?
That works, Brian. You got audio?
Can you hear? Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
Do I need a title or
whatever you want to say?
Okay. Aricia Boychuk. I'm president of the Ukrainian Canadian Congress, Alberta Provincial Council.
Perfect. Thanks, Aricia.
My name is Natalia Kostyukova. I came from Ukraine on May 2022.
Awesome. Thanks, Natalia.
Janice Krisa. I am the co-founder of Ukraine's Kitchen and the free store for Ukrainian newcomers.
Awesome.
Svetlana Yamkova. I am manager of Free Store for Ukrainian Newcomers, and I am newcomer. I came to Canada on April 2022.
Perfect. Thank you. And we'll just go online there. I see Kevin's online.
Hey, Kevin Royal. Sorry, there's a little bit of noise in the background at the moment, but should only be a few minutes. Yeah, Kevin Royal with the Firefighter Aid Ukraine, and a member of the advisory committee to the Premier on the settlement of Ukrainians.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate everybody. And so this is kind of what I call the What Matters to You podcast. What it is basically is conversation here. We're in one of my offices that I get to hold down in the fort. So literally in the Legislative Assembly, great history, all that kind of stuff. But really, I've been kind of working with a number of you. First time I'm meeting a couple for the first time, but looking at Ukrainian resettlement and how in Alberta we're trying to help out and do what we can. And quite honestly, I put out a post recently and I got some negative feedback on the post. And it was something as simple and as innocuous as a church group out in Sherwood Park looking for folks if they had any extra furniture to help folks that are getting resettled. And quite frankly, I was really taken aback because a year ago when we were having these conversations, talking about it and working together, there was tons of really positive things. And social media being social media for what it is, you never know who's out there or what their motives are. But I wanted to nip that in the bud right away. And part of it was, I believe, people are getting fixated on whatever the recent news story is. They're concerned what's happening back in Ukraine with Russia and Zelensky may not have been as popular now as he was a year ago with some folks. What I wanted to do is to bring the human side to it. So the conflict is over there. Kevin is, very close to it right now in proximity to what's taking place there. So there's that realism that's on the line here with us right now at present. But what I want to do is to put that human element back into it, because I think that's what a lot of folks are missing in all the 30-second sound bites and everything else that's out there. The other thing with this format is, we're not going live with this, we're recording it. So we get a chance, if there does get to be something that is difficult to talk about or anything else, then we can work through that as well. But what I found in this type of format, it humanizes it, because people who will listen to this really do care. They're going to take the time. They might take bite-sized chunks, whether it's 10 or 15 minutes at a time, but they're also the ones that typically get things done. When we're looking at the end of this, what I'm going to have as an ask out there is basically, what can we do to help? What can we do to beat down some of this narrative and to give folks what they need when they can? So maybe, Kevin, I'll go over to you first. I know you're a little bit pressed for time there. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you've been working on for the last couple of years already? Holy crow, man, it's 2 years already. What you've been working on, what you're involved with, and then some of the hardships, challenges you've had, and then some of the success stories.
Well, Firefighter Aid Ukraine's been around since 2014, so we're not new to this business of trying to supply support to hospitals and frontline first responders. I did read the comments on that Facebook post that you put up there, and my first thought was these can't even be real. These got to be Russian bots or sympathizers or anti-conservative trolls, because the mis and the disinformation that was being spouted on that feed and in other areas as well. It's too bad. And I'd like to hear other people's opinions on it, but I think that there's a number of groups, specifically like the church groups, Janice Chris and Moore's Free Store, things like that are doing great things for the settlement of Ukrainians being displaced by this conflict. But I'm going to say it right now and just come right out with it. I think the federal government is one of the biggest hurdles or biggest problems with this situation here, because they never actually declared these people as refugees. They gave them QET visas, and they're happy to come out and get pictures and photo ops, but then they pass the buck on to the provincial governments to take care of this issue, because these well, I don't even want to call them refugees because they're not given that title that they should have, but these displaced Ukrainians then can't access the supports that they should be able to, like tax credits, healthcare, federal programs that are extended to other refugee groups that have come before them. So that, I think, is one of the biggest problems. And then the provincial governments are left to fill the stopgaps. And I was fortunate enough to sit on the advisory committee to the Premier, led by Jackie Armstrong-Homeniuk, and I got to meet with many of these stakeholders that are supporting Ukrainian settlers and hear the pains and hear the problems and try to help come up with some solutions. So I do think the provincial governments, the Alberta Conservatives, led by then Premier Kenney and now Premier Smith, are doing what they can, where they can, in their own lanes. Some of the wins could be the driver's licenses recognition, healthcare, dental care. They're trying to fill those gaps left by the federal government. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the biggest problems.
Well, and we find ourselves in an awkward spot, but we did step up. I can speak for both administrations. And, I was at a gun show, and I talked to a few different guys there. And coincidentally at the time, a friend of mine, Ruslan Hutzlak, he had immigrated here a while ago. His family's here. He's an engineer, him and his wife both. And he got a hold of me that night, and he says, Shane, I saw the stuff you guys are doing. You're talking about sending blankets and things over here. He says, my brother's out there right now. He says, send level 5 body armor and ammo and night viz. So that was the very real conversations at that time that we took back to those boardroom tables. So the Alberta government did what it could on a number of efforts and areas. But to your point, this is federal jurisdiction. So there's only so many things that we have authority to do or should be doing, but there's a lot of stuff that we can do well, and we've stepped into gaps and voids where normally provinces don't. But, seeing the work that you did, and when I first ran into you, it was trying to help out to get materials and things moving. You guys had a bulk of stuff in warehouses, and again, even though with the experience you guys have had, it was looking at the volume of getting that material to people when they needed it. And then it was awfully nice to see the impacts that made also for folks over there, but also coming back here as well. It looks like we might have lost Kevin there in the feed, but maybe I'll just lead off where Kevin left off is where are the gaps and what are you folks trying to do to work on now? Again, this was a conflict that came up out of left field for a number of us, and we're just really trying to pitch in and help out where we can. So maybe I'll turn it back to you because you're the first point of contact I had to try to get into this as well.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. I think the province really has stepped up and, very quickly changed policies to accommodate the QET visa holders, that special visa that Ukrainian newcomers were offered. And we're very grateful because we knew that was a huge a pressure for the government that had to quickly pivot and address issues that, were in policy. And we know that it takes time. But, very quickly, within a year, many things were quickly changing to accommodate the pressures. And we're very grateful. There's a few other opportunities I think we can kind of explore together to see what else we can do to address some of those gaps. But we're definitely very grateful for. We quickly, with the Congress, we quickly got into action mode and supported Firefighter Aid Ukraine with that first plane to go out of equipment to Ukraine of humanitarian aid. And as people started coming in, we started to address and respond to whatever those needs were. Ironically, the Congress, the Ukrainian Canadian Congress, was formed over 80 years ago in response to post-Second World War and the needs of the Ukrainian newcomers. And so here we are again responding to the needs of this horrific war that Russia has invaded in Ukraine. Our work has been really just where are the needs and filling those gaps in. And we immediately responded as people started coming in with a furniture warehouse. The Boilermakers Lodge donated 20,000 square feet for us. And we've been in their training space for 2 years now. They are working around us and our furniture. It really is incredible.
And the Boilermakers, they're a good bunch. Like they're ornery. They're the guys that'll put their heads down and they're bullheaded and they'll build things, and ladies too, obviously with that brotherhood and sisterhood. But I'll tell you what, the Boilermakers get things done, and hearts of gold, and they'll do a lot. So I'm very, very happy, but not surprised to hear that they're doing that. That's awesome.
We are extremely, extremely grateful. We have furnished, pretty much fully furnished, over 7,000 homes with mattresses, dining room tables, sofas, all their basic necessities. And we have been collecting furniture from people's homes. Right now, we're in Sherwood Park this past month and a half doing drop-offs and renting U-Hauls, bringing it into the city and offering it to Ukrainian newcomers. We have shifted into English classes because that has been a need. There's a shortage. We're offering, since the war broke out.
Cut off there. I just noticed that Kevin's back online with us here, and I know you can't see that.
Sorry.
No worries. All good, Kevin. So maybe if you want to pick up on that vein of thought of how many people stepped up, helped out, some of the challenges you had that were overwhelming support, and where you're at now to streamline the process.
Well, with the onset of the war, I think Arisi just touched on it. We had a pretty lofty goal to ship over, to charter our own jet. And that wouldn't have been accomplished without the support of organizations like the UCC. It wouldn't have been accomplished without the army of volunteers that showed up, literally to work around the clock at the warehouse, with organizations like Amigo Relief Missions. So, those are some lofty goals, and they wouldn't have been accomplished if it wasn't for the help of a lot of people, the government included. So, we've been, we're still here. We're pivoting throughout all these different issues that come up.
And what are you seeing the effects on your end? I know you've been over there a few times now, and you can't tell us where you're at, obviously, for very relevant and real reasons. But what is the impact you're helping on the civilians? What's going on there, and on what the work you do?
Well, I think we lean on each other. Janice and I are in the same space. Janice and George and I, we're in the same space. We share that space, and that space was we required that through contacts, through the government, through Grant McEwen. So it's a lot of leaning on each other, and we come to each other with issues. We come to each other with problems, and then find solutions. And through the work that we're doing, we're becoming quite the network of people with broader networks that can assist on some of these issues. We in addition to the furniture store, we've been working with Rotary clubs within the city and Catholic Social Services to deliver beds, like actual beds, donated by a manufacturer that come to us. So finding solutions to problems is what we're trying to do as a community of organizations and individuals within that Ukrainian community.
So back of the napkin, just a wag here on numbers. How many people do you think, again, just from your contacts, how many think that people are volunteering their time to do this? Are we talking hundreds, thousands of people?
Oh, I bet your list our personal list is over 1,000, just with our organization. Man hours, that'd be a tough one that'd be a very tough one to
yeah, and I'm trying to get the audience in perspective here to understand. There's only a few of us sitting here in the office and talking about this, but everything that I've seen, it's people literally giving up their family time, their recreation time. They're doing whatever out of their goodwill to do this out of their hearts. And, as the conflict lengthens out, I don't think any of us would have thought it would have been 2 years at this point. It hasn't slowed on the people wanting to help, is from what I've seen. There's rough spots. People are filling in the voids and doing what they can. Obviously, on the government side, we got to lobby more and make sure we've got some pathways. But the fact that this many people are literally digging in and helping, that's a testament to the work that everyone out there is doing and to what you guys are doing for your leadership in those areas. And then the impacts you're physically having on people's lives is hats off to you. Well done.
And I think it's also important to say, if someone has any kind of doubt or doesn't believe that the need is there or that the support is there or the appreciation is there, come on down to the free store one day and just see what dropping off a few used items or a few new items makes in someone's life, and see how it makes you feel doing something like that as well.
Well, and I think we've kind of been jaded over the years, honestly. Everyone hears about these organizations and what may happen, and you put your donation, and then you look at the trickle effect, and there's lots of all that negative stuff. But to your point, Kevin, this is boots on the ground, hands on. Mm-hmm. Literally, people in our community you can follow, and you can see the impacts it's having on folks' lives. And we have 2 such ladies here as well. So that was the other thing that, thank you for coming out. But I want to hear from your stories, obviously the organizations, but what has this meant to you? How did you find your way to Alberta? Where would you be if this didn't happen? And kind of where do you see going forward? So is that a good touch point, do you think, to pivot to here? Or? Okay. And then we'll circle back to the organizations, obviously. But I think hearing it from the first person might be a little helpful here for me, at least. Kevin, are you okay with that for time?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And if you got to drop off anytime or interject, it's meant to be more of a conversation here. So raise your hand or stick your nose in. There's no problem here. You're not going to get called foul or a point of order or anything silly like that. So maybe Natalia will or not. Did I mess it up already?
No.
Oh, good. I was going to say
now.
Natasha, and all of a sudden I'm second guessing.
No,
so
Natalia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when war just started, I was in the west region of Ukraine, and my husband was in Kyiv. It was panic everywhere, fear. So after 1 week, we decided that we need to go abroad. And first we go to Poland because we had some friend there, but we understand that we need to stay for a longer time somewhere. And we lived in Montenegro during 2 months, and when Kuwait was announced, we decided to move to Canada.
And how did you pick Canada?
I knew English a little bit, so I know English a little bit. I don't know Italian or Poland, And I knew that in Alberta there is a great community, Ukrainian community, that can help with adaptation. And also we have relatives here.
Okay.
It's my cousin, my father's cousin. So it's rather far relatives, but we still every time connect, speak with each other. So we decided to move to Canada. So I, with 2 kids and my parents, we came to Canada on May 2022, as I told, and my parents didn't speak English, so I decided to find some job as fast as I can. And it was rather hard without Canadian experience and without advanced English. So also I started English courses here for free, so it's a great possibility for me. And after 1 month, I took my resume, go to every store. I left my resume, introduced myself, and asked about a job. Also, I attended a couple of job fairs that had place in Edmonton. I sent ton of resume on websites, and after 1 month, I found 2 jobs, 2 part-time jobs, but still, I worked like cashier in Sobeys and like sales associate in Suzy Share, and I worked. And
so, it was curiosity here. Like this is, God bless you for doing that. I can't imagine my wife picking up and taking our kids and trying to move not only to one country but a couple countries to go see a third cousin removed and try to find that and then to find a new thing, and that's not your first language. But what's your education? What did you do back in Ukraine?
Yeah, I have a master in economics, and also I worked in insurance company for a long time, during 5-6 years. I work in a bank a little bit, and also in the airport, like passenger agent. So I worked different jobs, but I understood that it will be hard to find here this kind of job, at least in the beginning of my life here. So I decided to find some survival job at first because I have 2 kids. I need to have some money for this, for
How old are your
life.
children?
When we came, I have 2 daughters, so they were 1 and 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
Now they're 3 and 7 years old. Yeah.
How are they doing with all of this? Like, kids are pretty malleable when they're little like that. So how are they?
So what concerns Yeva, she's smaller. She was just 1 year old, so she feels good because she needs just mom, dad, sister, because my husband already came to Canada also. Yeah. So he needs love and, people. And so she feels good here. And Maria, she's 7 now. She sometimes can ask about Ukraine, about relatives that's still there. She can ask about our lovely apartment that we had in Kyiv. But we try to explain her that it's still dangerous there. And even, I don't know, I'm not sure if we go back. So for now, it's our house, our second home, and I'm very happy that that their life can be like happy childhood. They can have, and they feel good here. So they grow up here, So.
Well, and part of that too is, we were talking a little bit before camera here too of recognizing credentialing. We have a private members bill in the House right now that's looking at that for foreign credentialing, and we know that folks are educated elsewhere in the world. It is just as in the University of Alberta that you go to, or SAIT or NAIT. So if you had your credentialing, if that was recognized, transferable, what else would you? What do you think you would want to jump into and do other than the survival jobs? What else would you want to go into?
Yeah, for now, I work in Suzy Shell like assistant manager.
Okay.
So I have a better position, and I have full-time job there. So I have 40 hours, and with this job, we submitted application for permanent resident.
Okay.
So that's why I stay with this job, because it was my
anchor.
First point. Yeah. And in the future, I would like, of course, to move a little bit for my specialty. And it can be some, I don't know for sure, but maybe some administrative work, some office work.
You applied for a bank job, and you're also you had a third job.
I even had a third job because it was a lot during 2 years,
Yeah.
I had a third job. I work in TD Bank, customer experience associate, but they had just 15 hours for me, and they said that they can't give me more because usually they have part-times, a lot of part-times, just 15 hours. And 15 hours, it was just not enough.
Yeah.
I can't leave my main job. So I had 40 hours and I have 15 hours, so I had 55 hours per week, and it was too much for me. I was exhausted, and I still have 2 kids.
Yeah.
So they need my attention not every day, but of course they need my attention. So we decided that we need to change something. So I stayed with my full-time job, and I leave this one. I worked during 5 months there.
Okay, well,
I just started to feel comfortable there, and then I just left it. So it was a rather hard decision for me, but
considering everything you've been through, your smile and your eyes tell a good story. Like, there's hope. I see that, and there's challenges, but you're hopeful, and nothing like having little ones to sometimes to park our pride and just do whatever is needed to take care of the family. So thank you for everything that you're doing and going through that. Those little ones are going to really benefit from it. And if we get things corrected on our sides, that we can with these gaps that Kevin had talked about too, then we can recognize your credentialing and we can get you where you need to be. And we need a lot of folks. So maybe with that, I'll got the start microphone here.
If I can interject really quickly.
Please do.
To that point, to some of the mis and disinformation that was being shared on that story that we're here to talk about. This group of displaced people is the highest educated group of people ever to be displaced by conflict or a disaster. It is. It truly is. And like to what you're saying, these are doctors, lawyers, tradesmen that can help fill the gaps that we're seeing here in Alberta and throughout Canada in childcare, healthcare, and the trades. I mean, we got problems with just school bus drivers, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And we have these people that through credentialing and matching, and they can fill those gaps that we have. And I know that the government's working hard to try to match those credentials and to make sure these people can get to work in jobs other than those survival jobs. And they're trying to. I wish it would happen faster, but they are doing it with their due diligence as well.
Yeah, there needs to be due diligence on it too. But we've seen it over a number of years. There's these little fiefdoms sometimes that grow on their own organically, and that's where the political slant comes in. That's where we get a chance to open up the hood, look at some of these things, and then see where they need to be tweaked. So that's exactly why we're doing this. We've got a massive need for people. We've got a ton of growth. We've got 200,000 people in our own country that are moving here. And you were suggesting there was up to 10,000 just in the last month, and we expect another input from another 10,000, 15,000 Ukrainian folks. So we've got a need for people. Now the next thing is going to be matching them up and doing that to make sure we've got the right people in the right places at the right time to do that. And then I know you're itching, but I would love to go back over this lady here because I feel like I'm ignoring her. But thank you for that, Kevin. And please tell everybody your name again and where you're from and what you did and what you're doing now.
Thank you. Last 15 years I live in Kyiv, and I'm from that part of Kyiv when everything was started. The first building was attacked near my house. We lost some friends in this war. And first 2 weeks we live. We didn't want to leave our house. We wanted to stay in Kyiv, especially my husband, because before he worked in police and he took part in the war on 2014.
Okay.
But I have a little son and I was pregnant 6 months, and we live 2 weeks underground, like basement, but in Ukraine we have different basement than in Canada.
Okay.
It's without anything, like I don't know how to explain. We took wood pallet for children. We made them bed to sleep, but the problem was that all hospitals around they didn't take regular people because they was very busy with soldat.
Okay.
That's why when I started to feel problems with my health, I didn't feel my right leg. I stopped to feel my daughter inside in my belly, and my son, he didn't sleep at night because they usually started attack and at 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. That's why we made decision to go abroad. We didn't have friends. We don't have for now at Poland, and there was no place to live because a lot of people came. Some days we stay like at school. They have big place for football inside, and some days we live in the car inside. And then when we went to Germany, we heard about this program for Ukrainian people, and just I told to my relatives, let's try to apply, maybe not. And we took visa after 3 days, and after we didn't have and didn't have relatives in Alberta.
Okay.
We was alone here, but we made decision to write a post on Facebook page, and some person, they are from Mexico, they immigrants, and they know how it's hard here. They wrote for us that we can be your host, please come.
Wow.
Yes, and we bought tickets and came here, and my daughter was born here in Canada.
And how's your health and everything now? Are you okay?
I'm okay. Just I don't know. Something changed inside me. I started to be like a little quiet because I'm a lawyer in Ukraine.
Okay.
And I usually in my normal life I speak a lot. But another thing, it's okay. just maybe some problems with mental health, because I still remember at that time. It's hard to remind everything and to talk about this.
Well, and we can go at your pace. It's up to you. We're having a conversation. Whatever you're comfortable with talking about, that's all I can ask from you.
I'm okay.
And the way you're talking now, it's that type of message. I think a lot of folks need to understand. It's not just some Facebook post. It's not just some meme or picture or some 30-second snapshot. It's real people with real lives that have lived this and found a way here. So thank you for being brave to share, and knowing that most lawyers talk at 10,000 miles an hour, to have someone that gets quiet, to be reflective on that too, that also says a lot without saying much at all. So thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah. And
I want to share.
Yes, please.
Because I know that people need to know what happened. Maybe because a lot of people I saw in the street, we started to talk, and they, in Canada, a lot of people who saw this war, they stay in Poland, and in Canada we have just people who lived before in Europe, or they have relatives here, but no, we have a lot of people, they came to Free Store, they from that part of Ukraine, like in where is this situation? They don't have anything, like no house, no clothes, anything. We have a lot of people like this, not just who lived before in Europe. Yes, some of them maybe, but
yeah,
not all.
it's going to the right folks that need it. Yeah.
I think Svetlana is being very humble because she didn't share what she's doing now. So she came as a volunteer when she was pregnant to the Free Store. Her baby was born, and she had her friends there to cheer her on and to be supportive. Because we're more about giving stuff. I think that so many amazing friendships have been built at the Free Store. And when we put the announcement up where we were able to hire 2 managers to help us manage all of this, it was a lot of work being 100% volunteer run, and we needed to provide more access for people to get started so that they can start working. Just like Natalia shared, they really came here with one suitcase. And they needed things like towels, toasters. Alicia did such an amazing job by getting the furniture together. And they also needed a place to come where they could just talk about their experiences for their own mental health. Yeah. So when we put the post up, Svetlana was one of the first people to apply, and it was just a really easy decision. She's been such a huge, huge help. And now she's helping about, up to 1,000 people every single week. She's helping them, and she's helping them get their lives together. She's giving them hope, and it's not easy. But I'm so proud to work with her, and we've had amazing response to the Free Store, either through donations. People look to our volunteers as potential employees. We've had such phenomenal feedback about people who have hired people from Ukraine and their work ethic, and how they're contributing to our economy here. And it's really, for me, I feel very privileged to live in Alberta. I feel very grateful, absolutely grateful. But I'm also grateful that these brave people chose Alberta. We have to remember that they, they're kind of displaced, and they were looking, where's the best place for them to come? And we should be very proud as Albertans that we have built an amazing community. We do have the means to help other people because the community responded really quickly.
Yeah.
And we should feel honored that people have chosen to come here, and they haven't come here to get a free ride. They've come here to work, and that's pretty cool to hear when they've researched where to go. As Natalia mentioned, many Ukrainians come here very educated. Or sorry, I think it was Kevin. They're coming here with high educations. They had really amazing jobs in Ukraine, so they've done the research of where's the best place for them.
Well, and part of it too is, we were talking offline earlier. Alberta was built by the Ukrainian community. I mean, you look back in the 20s and 30s, and even post World War II. My wife's family was one of the 5 families that came over and settled up in grassland and built that area. The Onishchuk family. Hearing the trials and tribulations of what happened to them over when there was conflicts in the past with Russia and when they came here. So this is it. My kids went to Shumka School of Dance, those type of things. So there's kum. There's that family connection always with folks in that area. So that's, again, too, it was so counterintuitive to see some of these polls or posts or trolls or whatever that was out there. It was just a bit bonkers. So, yeah.
Yeah, I want also to say that it's very important how you feel here. For example, here I don't feel very immigrant, because there is a great community. Yeah. And as you told, my kids also go for the Shumka dance school.
Oh, right on.
And I'm really happy that they have this opportunity. So far from native land, they go to Ukrainian folk, they study how to dance Ukrainian folk dancing.
Yeah.
So it's priceless. And also they go to Ukrainian youth complex. So
there's a youth organization
for kids, they always do something that they know about Ukraine, they know about history of Ukraine, they study it. So it's just great opportunity for them, because not in every country, not in every city or town you can find this.
Well, I'll tell you what, using the American line, and some of the things we take for granted. I don't remember any wedding that I've ever been to or every formal function where there wasn't halapshi and petahe. It's just part of it. So it's part of the culture. It's part of who we are. And, I think there's great opportunities not only for the cities, and the cities are getting a bit saturated, but here's the windfall on that. If someone's displaced and has, issues and challenges, we've got a lot of small towns. And you look at who was there and how welcoming even the small towns are. There's not a ton of capacity, or wasn't, but people are opening up their homes. There was church groups sponsoring people doing the same thing. And there's a real need in rural Alberta. Ukraine is known for agriculture, so are we. It's those same type of things. There's so many cultural similarities too. I think there's a real opportunity for that as well, to save a bunch of the small towns, build back up those businesses and reconnect people. So maybe I'll pivot back to you. And what are you thinking on that? Where are you seeing some of the challenges now? We've got folks here that want to stay, and where do we allow them to continue to grow?
See so much potential. I'm extremely, excited for what is next and how we can work together. We really have been very fortunate to work for the Congress, for sure, with so many different organizations, so many different settlement agencies helping propel the Ukrainian newcomers forward, like the Free Store, like Catholic Social Services, Calgary Immigrant Social Services. And I think the next phase now we're going to be moving into is really helping support with Ukrainian newcomers their English. We're not going to sit and wait for the government to give this money out. We know that this is a challenge and there are barriers with that. So as we've done in the past, we continue to propel forward. We're resilient. We'll figure it out. We will rely on the community as we have for the support. And in terms of employment, that's the future, and that's the future work for specifically the Congress, to ensure that the community is connected, engaged, that they get the skills and the training that they need to be successful. Because when they're successful, our community is successful. Yeah. And we have a job fair coming up April 10th. We're seeking employers who are looking for hardworking, disciplined, educated newcomers to fill those positions. We expect over 1,000 people to attend. And we've held 3 last year, and we're hosting another one this year. 50 Approximately 57,000 Ukrainians have arrived to Alberta.
50,000.
57,000 over the last 2 years. So we have an incredible workforce here, 17,000 in Edmonton, 27,000 in Calgary. We know that there's not going to be employment for all those people, and we need to look for opportunities how we can help support them to move to where there's employment and housing, and they can be successful, along with supporting them with the English language. So I'm thrilled. I'm excited. I think, there's lots of opportunity. I know the government, provincial government is interested in this and has established grants and supports for these gaps to be met. And I look forward to being part of that process moving forward.
Well, I'm stoked. Like, honestly, I mean, we started talking about this in our area. We started looking at the libraries, like the library network. Believe it or not, the little old libraries. There's one in every small town, and that literally is integrated with everywhere across the province, including the U of A. You can literally get a book from the library from the U of A, and it's dropped off, and you can put it in any one of these little libraries within the network. The other thing is that you've got resources for learning right at those little libraries, and they become hubs for both employers and people in the communities and everything else. So we started before the election to start to sketch that out. I'm with this conversation, I'm going to take that up on the mantle again as my job jar, put that back to the top, connect that as kind of into those job fairs, also with locating people to communities. I'm going to use San Gudo as an example. We were on the precipice of shutting down our little school, and when I'm talking to the people of where they're making the decisions, all they needed was 9 more students. That was the tipping point. 9 more students to keep a school open in a small town community. So when I pitched this to the community, obviously we saved the school, we've got it open. And when I said, okay, who needs what? Well, there's a butcher up there. He's got a shop in Edmonton and also in San Gudo. And then they're also buying local meats and all those things. Now you got the farmers working together with these local things. I said, if I got you 9 families, I don't even need 9 families, probably 2, 3 families. Where are we going to put them? Well, we would put a cooperative together. We've got lots here. We would build houses. And then I'm saying, okay, well, who's got some rig camps? What do we have for well sites? Could we rack those up quick? Yeah, we could. So it's the same type of thing. So I would honestly pitch, small towns are going to take the next wave of folks. It'll give you a safe place to go to. It might not be, Susie Shears, we're pretty shy on those, but we've got other things that are in there. And moreover, we've got some massive success stories of little small towns having international businesses. There was one little small town lady out in Tomahawk that her soap products show up on the red carpet in Hollywood. So we have these success stories. We've got aviation and aerospace companies that are signing in contracts with Boeing that are taking place in little old Villeneuve. Like, cutting edge stuff is literally out there. So if we had contacts with people with those skill sets, we could start playing matchmaker. And if you're not fixated on stuck on living in a small cramped compartment, come out to the small towns where you get a big house and a small lot and for half the price. So those are the type of things. And the other one too is I would propose that rural kids accept everybody. Like, you wouldn't believe. That's how we built the West. That's what we do. And we'd welcome you with open arms. And there's been a lot of families, like I said, that have already done that, and some really good success stories in my area too. So if we've got a bunch of folks that are like-minded, hardworking people that want to get together and build the province, we got a place for you. And I know Ukraine is always going to be home for you, but we'd be happy to have you as your second home. I'm starting to tear up here. I'm just like, it's honestly, it means a lot to me. So with that, this is a conversation. Where do you want to go? What do you want to talk about next? We got you here. We're talking about other folks, some of the good things that are going on. Tell me about the future. What does that look like for you? Are you hopeful? Or is there a corner we're turning?
About my future?
Yeah. And your children. What do you want? What do you want to achieve?
For me, like before I met Janice and started to be volunteer, I said that I need to improve my English and to go to learn law. But now I'm happy to work with people and with Janice at Free Store. It's make me very happy. We have a lot of love and we share with people. And Janice have a lot of great ideas for future for this work, and me and we have another manager, Lilia. We saw like her ideas that we want to stay to work with Janice together and do everything what she planned in future for Ukrainian people. All ideas for Ukrainian people and for make their life here better and to give them feeling that they have home here.
Nice. Well, that's wonderful, and through that I can see there's sparkle in your eyes when you're talking about it, like there's joy.
Yes, because when I was at home, I was in depression, because every day you try to monitor news, and it's make you so sad. But in my work, we are happy because we give this love for people, and they started to be happy like we. They sing songs. A lot of volunteers who come to Free Store, they told that we don't know what we will do when this place will close. Please don't close this, because we need to have some space to talk with people on our language, because a lot of Ukrainian people don't speak any English.
Yeah.
They need to take information from someone, like we share about like events, about documents, about everything, about how it's work here, that you can park here or you can't. Like, this is little things, but we need to know everything. We need to learn it's again how to live, because we have different rules in Ukraine.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
My children is very happy. Elizabeth, little one, she's so active girl, and my Nikita was bad first time, but now he's okay. He find friends at school. You have very good schools here, very good teachers. They like friends with children.
Yeah.
And my son very love his teacher and class.
Good. Oh, that's wonderful to hear.
Thank you so much. I feel so grateful to work with the people that I do. And maybe I could talk about something like the business side of things.
Yes, please.
How's this?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've heard now from two newcomers speaking, who work with a lot of newcomers. They're ready to call Alberta home. We've opened up a business.
What do you think the percentage is that folks want to stay here for newcomers?
The percentage, I mean, an educated...
Just back of the napkin. How many people want to call Alberta home permanently?
So I can take a bit of a snapshot from our employee base. There's two that want to go back. Their husbands are in Ukraine serving in the army. And one of our employees, her son is also in Ukraine. And so she does want to go back. The rest of them want to stay. They like the schools. They're really happy with the schools. They like the daycares. They like Alberta. And they are happy here. They're feeling peace finally. As Svetlana shared, her son couldn't sleep at night because of the airstrikes. How sad is that?
Yeah.
And here it's really quiet and it's really nice. And I'm happy every time at the Free Store, when I see a pillow going out the door, I think, wow, they're going to sleep maybe through the night now for the first time in for some people for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put my business hat on. I own and operate a business now, and we've got a bunch of employees from Ukraine. And I share their concerns that they're concerned about getting permanent residency. And I know you've got a lot of work to do, and we hope that, we can support that in any way possible. There's a lot of employers that have given Ukrainian jobs, and they're very happy. I am extremely happy. Things are working really well. We've got a great business. It is in the back of my mind, like, what's going to happen? And I think that everybody is feeling that right now. What is going to happen? Is there a possibility that they may have to go back? We're not sure. It's scary, and we want to alleviate that. We feel pretty secure about it. And I know with having leadership like Arasia, she has not wavered since the first day. And I know, probably a week after the war started, I met with Arasia, and she told me that she feels like she's been preparing for this war her entire life. And whether it be through, setting up dance schools or Ukrainian bilingual schools, I think Most people in our province, if they don't have a Ukrainian friend, they probably don't have any Ukrainian friends, because there are quite a few of us. But we want to make sure that that's an area that we really need help with. Of course, a settlement takes time. It's a lot. We're throwing a lot at very skilled people. You know, they have the concerns about a war back home, learning English, getting to know a new culture, getting new homes. There's a lot of challenges with that. But we also need to look to the future. And we know that that is with the federal government. A lot of that is with the federal government on the immigration side of things. But we want them to stay. And I think that, you know, a few people have said it. Come to the Free Store for an afternoon and you will see the reception
Nice.
and the welcome that Ukrainians are getting.
Well, the next time we do this, it'll be at the Free Store if you'll have us.
We let everybody come,
Oh,
even
good,
dogs.
even me.
And I think we've had a cat a few times.
Yeah, but part of that too is, you know, this is an ongoing conversation, right? And honestly, where I'm at is I want the same thing. When we've got good folks here that have a safe place, the ones that want to go back to Ukraine, God bless them. But the ones that want to stay here too, you've got a second home. Like that's what we want to do. So you've got my word, you know, for the next 3 years that I'm around. We'll be working on that file with my colleagues here on this end to make sure that folks can stay if they want to, and make sure you come to rural Alberta. But we'll make sure there's good areas for receptions, and we'll tie up people together. Absolutely. So thank you for that. Back to you, because now you got a little bit of history stuff. And
I'm just confident that there's going to be pathway. There's going to be additional pathways. I do not believe that the end of, you know, the ANIP program that has been put on hold will not reopen. I'm confident that the federal government and the provincial government will come up with alternative ways to allow these people to stay. We just are, it would be a huge miss for our province to not do that and not to create some security, stability for these people who want to stay and for the future, the economic future of Alberta. This is an incredible workforce that will serve us very well. And I don't believe that this will be a missed opportunity.
Well, I agree. And, you know, there's a first time for everything. And, you know, what we find in legislation, obviously, typically laws, and you would know this as a lawyer better than anybody else, you put something in place with the best idea and you don't know if it's going to work for everything until something else happens. And then you change the law or you change the regulation or you bring in a new law to suit circumstance. And hopefully you're getting rid of the old laws that are antiquated and you modernize. I honestly believe the same thing as you. We haven't seen this before. The square peg, round hole concept applies for what we have in place. We're seeing this extended. It isn't a 6-month conflict. This is something different. You've got a large population displaced. We need people. We want people. Here we go. So here's an opportunity for all of us. So yeah, on our end, for sure, we're going to get stuff done. Ottawa's a different animal. We'll keep working on it. But I think, God willing, and the creek don't rise. They're on the same place as us. We just got to get past the personality stuff and make sure we put into practicality. Kevin, you're back with us. We're just kind of doing a little bit of a wrap-up roundtable here for next steps and what we can do to get folks moving forward and where some of the holes are that we need to fill.
Wish I had to step away. Sorry about that. I didn't really get to.
No worries. All good.
Yeah. No, I'll let you continue.
I was going to say, just any closing thoughts from you? Like, we're trying to fill the gaps here. We had some conversations on, you know, the folks that are displaced. We're looking at some of the gaps between what feds are doing and folks that want to stay here, what next steps we would have to do to make that happen. So just any closing thoughts on you for the people that are here, if what we would have to do to make sure they've got a safe spot to stay permanently?
You know, I think just more discussion. More discussion with the stakeholders is really important because they are your eyes and ears, the government's eyes and ears on the ground. They can give their experiences. They can give you the nitty-gritty on what's going on and what their needs are. But also go to the people of Alberta, the people of Canada, can also tell you what their needs are. And then, as you mentioned, create these Alberta-grown solutions because we do have this, I hate to call it a resource, but these people are brilliant. They're resourceful. They're hardworking. they need a safe space too, and we can provide that to them. We can provide them with all the things that they need to flourish as Canadians, as businesses. So, and I just hope that the stakeholders like the UCC keep advocating for the changes, the policy changes.
Yeah, and that's well put.
If you can hear me, just keep it up.
And if we have eyes and ears too, I don't know what I don't know. So you folks are down in that detail. And honestly, let's keep the conversation going. When you see impediments or roadblocks or things, just get it to us. Nothing like having a short timeline for a sense of urgency. I'm a project guy in the first place. So anything that we can do to make sure that we clear the impediments, all ears. So let's keep this conversation going. And I am going to throw a little bit of a joke in. It's probably a bad dad joke, but I'm not that smart, Kevin, but I was smart enough to marry a Ukrainian girl. So there's that for everyone else too. Yeah, well, I my computer keeps binging. I hate to say it. I think I'm running out of time here today, but let's keep this conversation going. Let's keep in touch through my office and personally. I want to thank you for coming out and doing this. Thank you for all that you do to help folks and prepare for events and for sharing your stories and successes too. Good stuff going forward. So thank you for taking the time to do this. Kevin, brother, over all the work you and all the hands are doing, your team over there, Herculean effort. So thanks for doing what you do.
We do it with the help of many, many hands. So.
Right on. Final last round. Any other comments, questions?
I just want to say, we're very grateful for the last 2 years of everybody who has stepped up, who helped, who's made a difference. Because without everybody who has, without the help, we would not be where we are today. And we still need people's help. We still need to partner and continue the work forward. And we just want to encourage people to continue with their support, with their help as we continue to navigate. And we know that this will be for the benefit of everybody.
Appreciate that. And I'm going to take a plug at the trolls. Keep your fingers down and behind the keyboard where they belong. Maybe there's a lot of really good people here that are doing a lot of good things for all the right reasons. So maybe keep your 2 cents to yourself for a change. And with that, thank you very much. Take care, everybody.
Waking up the buzzard on an old Black County road. We're just rolling coal.